So this week I'm going to be taking a look at getting my 30 core, my guards unit, based up. Um, what I've decided to use for these, because obviously they're fighting their way through the countryside and down the road towards the bridges, is I'm going to actually use more of a grass finish this time, because on the past ones I've used more city things like my British Airborne, for instance. I had, like, debris and bricks and stuff like that for the base, but I figured I could use this on these. So what I'm doing is I'm using up some old stuff that I've had knocking around for quite a while. Some Jarvis rough pasture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of my fast drying basing glue from Geeks Gaming into this little palette, and I'm going to brush it on one at a time because the weather is still hot round here, and they'll soon dry out. So I mean, normally I'd do 3 or 4 at once and speed it up that way, but I think what I'll do is just do 1 or 2 for the camera, and then do it separately and bring you back to show you what they're looking like. What I will be doing afterwards is I've got some small amounts of light green clump foliage, so I'm going to be putting little bits of that on, but I'm going to add that to it after I've put on this rough pasture. And then also on 1 or 2 I've got some autumn grass tufts as well that I'm going to place on 1 or 2. So right, let's just start the first one. So I'll just tip a bit of glue out. Take the first one. I've got a brush that's been a bit battered, that I've cut the end off just to make it a bit more useful for this. And what I'm doing is applying it to the base, but obviously not getting it on the man himself. So I want it to stick to his uniform, and I'm trying to keep it well within the outer rim. I think these are probably going to dry very quickly. Like I say, I think the temperature around here at the minute is still around 34, 35. So it should be dry to touch in no time. Alright, that's that one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip it in here, shake it around a little bit, tap it off, smooth any edges, and that's what he's looking like. As I say, I will be adding some bits of clump foliage and grass tufts as well to the odd one, but first of all I'm just going to go through and do this to each one. Right, I'll do one more on camera and then I'll bring you back. tell it's drying out really quickly. I'll just dip him in again. Just put a bit of light on it so you can see him a bit better. That's it. It's really simple, quick process, and it, you know, for me, it's nice to see them like with a bit of a country base as opposed to all the rubble bases that I do. So, right, what I'll do is I'll crack on, get a few more of these done, and then I'll bring you back and show you how I'm getting along. Right, so I've got through about half the army now, as you can see. All I've done is put on like the base layer of grass on all of these. So that's like the, you know, the first section, and then I've got this section left to do. As I say, I'm going to get them all up to the same stage, and then I'll look to be putting on any extras like tufts and clump foliage. But as I suspected, with the heat being how it is, I'm having to work pretty fast, and one figure at a time really, because it is getting tacky quite quickly. So, but I just sort of bring you back and let you see how they're getting on. You see, I mean, it is a quick process. I mean, it's probably a little bit slower with the weather being like this, but you know, it's the bit really that I enjoy the most about the figures, when you actually finally base them. You know that they're ready then to use and ready to display. So I'll crack on with the rest, and then I'll bring you back at the end, and then, you know, we can have a look at one or two of the individuals, and then I'll look about putting the extra parts on. Right, so I've completed them all now, and I'm letting them dry. And they've all got that level coverage of the pasture scatter that I put on them. One decision I have made, I think I mentioned it in a previous video, I've decided that the decals that come with these are not really appropriate for market garden, and so what I'm thinking is I'm going to leave off putting any decals on these, because I think it's going to give me a bit more freedom if I do, because that way, you know, if in the future I do want to do a different battlefield, I can use these same troops. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for them, and just, you know, work on these bases. But I'm going to let these dry for a little bit longer, and then I'll bring you back and I'll show you, you know, the tufts and things and how I put them on. I think I've showed it in a previous video anyway, but I just thought, you know, I've got a batch, it'd be worth going through it again, and then maybe even take them to the varnish stage so they're actually complete. So, but I'll bring you back when they've dried a little bit. Right, so they've had some time to dry, so I'm going to start applying some of the tufts on these. What I've done is I've just put a little bit of super glue into this tray so I can quickly dip them in, and they are self-adhesive, you know, especially these tufts are, but I always find it better just to, you know, belt and braces it really, and then put it straight onto the base. Fluffing it up a bit. So that's that one. As I say, I'm not going to put a bit of everything on all of them, you know, and I'm not going to, you know, probably put both types of thing on a particular base, just enough to break it up so it's not flat. So I put that one back. I'll get the next one, and on this one I'm going to put a little bit of this clump foam. So that's that one. It's only a little bit. I might put, with that one, I might put another little bit on the back. That's that bit there. I'll put the light on it a bit more. Let's have a look. There we go. A bit on the front. So that's that one. Right, I just thought I'd bring you back. I've got through nearly one squad, and I found just putting a small blob straight from the gun is working out a lot better for actually sticking the tufts on. As I say, I'll bring you back and show you some of the others when I get to them, but I just thought the other thing that I've done while I'm thinking about it is I tipped out a few stones that I've picked up from a walk, and I'm just sticking some small bits of that into the super glue on some of them as well. Just add a bit of a tuft on this side as well, and then I'll show you it. So you got like the stones on one side and the tuft. And what I'll do is as well, you know, from the first coating you can see the odd bit of brown showing through, which is not a bad thing anyway. But obviously when I do the coat at the end, you know, to actually seal it, I will sprinkle a few little bits of something else in there just to give it that bit more of a natural look. This one I'll just put a bit of the clump foliage. Actually, initially I was putting on very small bits of the clump foliage, and I'm thinking now that this, you know, making it just a slight bit bigger, it looks better. You know, it makes it look more like a little ground bush. Right, I'll crack on and do a few more, and then, as I say, I'll show you a sample of them at the end. Right, I've completed all these now. I've put all the little tufts and stones on each one. I will, you know, let you have a closer look at the end. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let these thoroughly dry, and then the next stage will be to seal them. And as I said, you know, if there's any other little things I want to sprinkle on it to break the grass up, I will do. But mainly it's about sealing what's on there now. So I'm going to leave these to dry, and then I'll bring you back and show you them at the end. So I'm going to start the sealing process now, because these have had time to dry. And basically I've got some, I mean, this is sealing spray from Geek Gaming, but essentially it's just watered down PVA is all you need for this. I have put a little bit of flow agent in there as well, so it it goes through and grips it from beneath rather than sitting on the top and setting. And I've got a tiny couple of bits of scatter here. I've got a soil one and some more of the pasture. And then what I've got is this little syringe that I had from, I've got to give my dog some medicine, and this was the thin one that I didn't have to use. And I'm going to use that to just take up a small amount of the sealing PVA. And then I can add that to the model without swamping it. I've got a measure of control. You don't want to put too much in, because if you do, it'll just run over the sides and then everything gets sticky more than the things that you want. I'm not going to add the extra scatter to everything, but I just want to do it on a few just to, break it up and give them a bit of a different look. Same technique really. Just put it on and knock off what you don't need. I'll bring him up. As you can see, there's no glue sitting on the top. That's going to add to gripping it now, and when that sets you ain't going to have anything coming off. I'll do another one. I'll try and close in a little bit for you so you can see this one. See everything around it, but at least you'll see the glue going on. For a little bit of soil around this stone. There we go. You can see that. Like I say, it's not swamped or anything, but it'll be enough to help grip it. I will put a tad more on there where I've put the oil on, but put the soil on. That's it. That's him done. I mean, in the past, you don't need one of these syringes. I've used little droppers in the past. It's just that this was at hand, because I've had a bit of a tidy around in my desk area. But it's just a way of controlling it, because you know, you can put too much on and then it's swimming over the sides. It's very easy to overdo it, and it just spoils the look of everything if it's totally drenched. Right, what I'll do is I'll crack on and do a few more of these, and then I'll bring you back. So I've sealed all these now, and it's just a matter of waiting for them to dry. As I say, I have put on a few specks of extra grass here and there, and some soil, you know, particularly around any stones. But you know, I mean, it's the most enjoyable part of doing the soldiers, I think, for me. And you know, the beauty of it is, I mean, I'm really not that great a painter. I'm afraid my eyes are just not up to it. I do my best, and like I've said before, you've just got to enjoy what you do. There's always going to be people better than you, so, you know, don't worry about it. But I do think, you know, spending a little bit of time on the bases, you know, it can make up for what, you know, what you lack in painting. You can still make a really nice looking model by just taking a bit of time over the base. So it's just, like I say, it's just a matter now of waiting for these to dry, and when they are, I'll be getting them ready for a matte varnish, just to seal it again and to protect the paintwork, and then I can call these done. So what I'll do is I'll leave these to dry, and I'll bring you back when I'm getting ready to varnish them. So my guards have all dried now. All the sealing is nice and firm. So basically I've put them on these, you've probably seen these before, some holders, and I'm going to take these and give them their anti-shine varnish coat, just to protect the paintwork. So I've got, obviously, like as you can see, I've got 4 strips to do. Give them a light coat all over, and then it'll be a matter of waiting for them to dry, and they're done. And I'll be able to move on to the, you know, all the vehicles for the Guards unit, which is going to be my 30 core unit. So now that these are near completion, I'll be ready to start all the tanks and everything next. So I'll just get this ready, get him outside, and then I'll, you know, bring you back so you can see the spraying being done, and then we'll wrap this one up. Right, so I've brought him outside to give him a spray. Couple of things first. This is what I'm using, Army Painter matte varnish. What I have done is I've warmed this up to room temperature, because it helps to mix it. You know, you'll hear a lot of people talking about the figures frosting up, and this is one of the ways to avoid any frosting. The other thing, the important thing, is to shake it for a good 5 minutes before you use it. I've been shaking this one for longer than that. You can never shake them enough, really, and that gets a good mixture as well. And then what you want to do is you want to hold it, you know, about 6 inches, 6-7 inches away from it, and do continuous strokes across the figures, because it's when you stay on one figure that you're going to overdo it, and it really doesn't need that much. The only thing that I'm going to do now is going up from the side, because I'm going to make sure I get all these sides. So I'm going to go up and then down the other way, and that's it. That's the first one done. I wouldn't need any more than that. If you do think you need another coat, and I don't think you would after that, You've got to leave it at least 4 hours or you could get frosting again. Right, I'll go and get another batch. Exactly the same process. Continuous glass. Good thing is, you want it still, I mean it's been very hot lately, but I've waited for the temperature to drop and it's just nice at the moment. There's not much of a wind. Right, next batch. There again. You're just basically protecting them against rubbing the paintwork off when you're playing with them. And that's it really. And that's it. So that's all the lot's done. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take these inside and let them dry for 4 hours and I'll bring you back and we'll wrap it up. Right, so all the varnishing is done and it's dried now, so these are complete. And as promised, I thought I'd bring you back and just give you a final look at them. I mean, what I will do, I'll just quick zoom over with a video camera and then I'll have a look at a few stills, you know, that show a better close-up of the actual basing that I've done on these. Must admit, you know, with the weather being how it's been, these have not been the easiest, but I am really pleased with them now that they're finished. I'm glad that I did them. Right, what I'll do is I'll put some pictures on as well, and then we can look at the individual ones. Right, so I thought I'd bring you these close up so you can see more clearly what I've actually done on the bases. I've tried to make them as varied as possible. You know, I've used tufts on some, on others I've used the clump foliage. Sometimes a combination of the two or stones as well. Anything really just to break it up and make them look a little bit different from each other. And as you can see, I'm not the best painter in the world by any stretch. I'm well aware that, you know, I struggle when it comes to the detail. But just having a nice base on it, it does bring it together. And as lots of people have said in videos I've watched, you are playing with them at arm's length, so... And if I can't see them when they're close up, I certainly can't see them when they're that far away, so it doesn't really matter. So, but no, I'm pretty pleased with them, to be fair. I mean, I've done the best that I can do on them, and that's good enough for me. So, and they've gone together quite nice, despite the fact that, like I say, I've been struggling. Don't that chap in the middle look like Prince Charles? Or is it just me? Anyway, I hope you found it useful. If you have liked it, please consider giving me a thumbs up or even subscribing. Bye for now.